Hi guys, it's me, ChazzaHD, and welcome to the 2021 Italian Grand Prix weekend. Hopefully you guys are doing well and hopefully having the best possible Friday you could be having, so far, or whatever day it is in your part of the world. And of course, we have the sprint qualifying returning for this weekend. So the weekend format is a bit different to what it would normally be. And of course, that means my schedule is going to be different this weekend. So of course, today I'm going to be going live twice. This is the first time I'm going live for the first practice session here at Monza, which will be a very important one because of course, later on, and I'll be going live at 4:30 p.m. UK time later for the pre-sprint qualifying session, I guess you could call it. That's not what I'm going to put in my title or anything, but that is essentially what it is, and that'll be going live later on. So yeah, that is what the schedule is for today. And of course, tomorrow I won't be going live at all because, like I said, I don't like the sprint qualifying idea at all, and I don't want to do a stream for it. But there will be some content coming out tomorrow anyway, so don't worry about that. And then, of course, Sunday will be a normal race, a normal race day. So, which is, of course, absolutely fantastic. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend. Not looking forward to the new, or not even new format, because we've already had it once. But I'm not looking forward to the format. But when we get to the race on Sunday, I am definitely looking forward to the race. Because I think, of course, we're going to get a close fight between Verstappen and Hamilton and Red Bull and Mercedes in general. But I think because of this circuit, and because of, say, teams like McLaren and AlphaTauri, I think we could, this weekend, see not as big of a surprise as last year. That was a mega surprise, what we saw at the Italian Grand Prix of 2020. But I think we could definitely still see a midfield team on the podium this weekend, because I think they will be a lot closer to the front runners here than they were in Zandvoort. So I'm expecting a very exciting weekend. And in this practice session coming up, I am expecting a close field in terms of pure lap time. So we'll see what happens in the session. And hopefully we have a good session with not too many issues. But of course, because this is the first practice session, normally when I do a practice watch along, I'll get into the results of the previous practice session. But like I said, we haven't had a practice session so far this weekend. So instead of getting to the pace of this weekend so far, let me first get into the news of the last week or so. And that is quite big news. Couple bits are, I'd say, as expected, or what we were hoping for, definitely, but also expecting, given what we've heard rumour-wise in the last couple months. But there has been some big news when it comes to the driver lineups for 2022. And we'll start with this man, Valtteri Bottas. So Valtteri Bottas will be leaving Mercedes at the end of 2021, and he will be replacing Kimi Räikkönen at Alfa Romeo. Really, that was the only place he could really go. I mean, he could have maybe gone back to Williams, but I'm not sure yet that it is, say, set in stone, or mostly set in stone, that Williams are on their way back to, say, the front of the grid. Well, not even to the front of the grid, but, to a point where they can be how they were, say, 5 years ago, where they were regularly scoring points. I don't think Williams are, at the moment, looking as though they're going to be back there quite yet, even though I do hope they can get back to that position. And I will say that I do believe Alfa Romeo, because they have more backing, I think they have a bigger opportunity than Williams do. So I think really, given that Alfa Romeo and Williams were the only two choices for Valtteri Bottas, I think Alfa Romeo is probably the right decision. for Valtteri Bottas, and we'll see, of course, next year how Alfa Romeo get on. As long as Alfa Romeo can get themselves properly back into the midfield fight next season, then I think Bottas will be probably satisfied with that. We don't know yet who his teammate will be. It looks as though it's between Antonio Giovinazzi and we're hearing also Nick de Vries, who of course won the F2 Championship in 2019. He's been racing in Formula E, I think, for the last couple of years and is a very good driver. I think Nick probably does deserve a chance in Formula 1 because he did win the F2 Championship. So, therefore, I think does deserve a chance because if you win the F2 Championship, I think it's a very good indication as to how good of a driver you are. So we'll see what happens. I hope Giovinazzi keeps his seat because I do think Antonio is good enough for Formula 1 and I think, they should keep Bottas, Giovinazzi as the lineup and not take out Giovinazzi and go with Nick de Vries. I don't think they should do that. Even though I think de Vries, probably should get a chance. I don't think it should be at Alfa Romeo because I don't think he is as good as Giovinazzi or, of course, Valtteri Bottas. But yeah, Alfa Romeo, one seat is confirmed. We'll wait to see what happens with the second seat. And then, of course, the biggest news is that this man, Mr. Saturday, George Russell, has signed for the Mercedes team. He will partner Lewis Hamilton in 2022 in an all-British lineup, the first ever all-British lineup that Mercedes have ever had since they've been a works team. That includes back in the 1950s as well. And it's the first all-British lineup since, I believe, 2012 with Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button. So yeah, that's a very interesting thing that Mercedes, I have to say, have gone for two British drivers. Even though, of course, they are a British-based team and that, still, it is a bit surprising that, two British drivers for Mercedes. But he deserves it, George Russell. He absolutely does. He's been very good, really, since he started in Formula 1. We know his speed is incredible. His performances have most of the time been exceptional. There has been mistakes and, drivers make mistakes, but he's learnt from them and improved and shown tremendous ability in the last year, definitely. That the Williams car has been a bit better so he can showcase more of that talent. He's been regularly getting into the second part of qualifying, despite the Williams car not being, with both drivers, quick enough to be absolutely in there and be expected to be in there. So yeah, Russell's been fantastic and absolutely does deserve his chance at Mercedes because he's really gone through what not every great driver, but what most great drivers go through, where they go into a team that's not very good, prove that they are miles better compared to their teammate in a car that is quite poor, and show that if put in a good car, that person, whoever that great person, great driver might be, could achieve great things. And I think Russell definitely has the potential to achieve great things in Formula 1. I think he'll definitely win races. I think he'll definitely win championships. Don't know how many, does depend on what happens with the competition. Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, drivers like that. But I think as long as he performs to his potential, he should be, by the time he gets to the end of his career especially, a very successful Formula 1 driver. Now, the third piece of news is that this man is now back in Formula 1, but not where you thought he would be going to, because AlphaTauri have confirmed that their lineup will stay the same in 2022. So AlphaTauri have Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda going into 2022, which, to be honest, I think with AlphaTauri quickly, I'll get onto that, I'd have to agree with that because Tsunoda, I think, half the time, yeah, he has been quite far off, but there's been a few races where he's done absolutely what has been required of him. So I think giving Tsunoda another season is absolutely the right decision. And of course, Pierre Gasly is a just amazing driver at the moment and has been for the last 2.5 years. So, well, not 2.5 years, probably say 1.5, maybe 2 at most. So, you know, the AlphaTauri lineup didn't need to be any different, and it is the right decision there. So Alex Albon will be replacing his good friend Russell at Williams, and will be racing alongside Nicholas Latifi, who I think... I'm trying to think, were they teammates in F2? I know they were racing a lot in F2 in 2018, but I'm trying to think if they were teammates in F2. I can't remember, but yeah, that's a good move for Williams. Of course, they are losing someone who is very, very good, and it's a definite drop in quality because Russell is absolutely a better driver than Alex Albon is. But if Albon has improved, if his speed and his consistency is better, then Williams, I think, as long as they can step up next season, be a bit closer to, say, the on a regular basis, the points paying positions, and I think with Albon and Latifi, and a Nicholas Latifi, by the way, that has been very good in the last few Grand Prix, then I think Williams, to be honest, could be, with that line of Albon and Latifi, in a decent position next season. I don't know if they'll have a good season next season with that lineup, but I think it's a decent lineup, and if the car is a bit better, then I think it could put them in a very decent position indeed. By the way, the F1 intro is currently playing, just to let you know, and we have the C4, C3, and C2 compounds for this weekend, so one step softer than Zandvoort. Of course, Zandvoort, the load put through the tyres is why they went for the hardest compounds, because they didn't want to have too many pit stops or punctures or, you know, anything like that. So, understandably, they've gone for a softer set here than they did at Zandvoort. But yeah, Albon at Williams, good to see him back. Albon is good enough for Formula 1, but if he doesn't prove himself at Williams, then I think he'll definitely won't be back in Formula 1 after that. So he needs to really perform at Williams and show that he can mix it in this series. But, guys, that is all for the news. And now we await the start of practice 1. Just to update you about the weather conditions, it's overcasty at the moment at Monza. We are expecting quite hot and sunny days, though, tomorrow and Sunday, so no worries about the weather, which is great news. Sharan says, by the looks of it, in the chat, by the way, says Giovinazzi won't be able to hold his seat for 2022. He really hasn't delivered well in these 3 years. In terms of pure results, yes, but you have to remember that Antonio has not been put in a good enough situation, and his car is not good enough, not just for him, but for Kimi Räikkönen to really be fighting for the points. I mean, you saw Giovinazzi in Zandvoort, he was absolutely brilliant, and we've seen Giovinazzi in terms of his qualifying effort compared to Räikkönen in the last 2 years. He's really been clearly better than Räikkönen over a single lap. And if the Alpha car was just a bit better, I think you'd really see Giovinazzi being rewarded for that. But he can't be because, like I've said, the car just simply isn't good enough. There's not really anything about the Alfa Romeo car that just is really good enough to seriously threaten anyone. And it's been that way really since the start of 2020. And then, of course, the Ferrari power unit lacking in power compared to what it used to be like is a big blow, but still. Right. And of course, Kubica is racing yet again, so I'll have to keep that white writing on the screen. And I'll just get the timer ready. If I can. Time. And I don't think I can. No, just missed it by about 2 or 3 seconds. But guys, practice 1 has officially begun. So we are underway here in practice 1. And a couple people doing some practice starts. And the first man out on track is indeed an Alfa Romeo driver. And it is Robert Kubica, who is the first man on the track. And pretty much everyone going to come out, of course, because going into qualifying, which is a very important session to set you up for the rest of the weekend, because if you have a poor qualifying and then you can't make your way through in the sprint race, then it just destroys your entire weekend. This session, you're going to see a lot of laps being done, and you're going to see the teams pushing their cars as hard as they can, really, going into qualifying later on. As I'll sync up the timer in 3, 2, 1, and there you go. And I'll just adjust the position. There you go. So we have 59 minutes to go in this practice session. I just want to say that, as I normally say, don't forget to subscribe if you are new to the channel for more content like this, because I will be live plenty more times this weekend. And not just live, there'll be a couple recorded videos coming out the next couple days. One will be a qualifying watch-along best bits video, which will come out tomorrow, probably lunchtime tomorrow. So you guys can watch that and enjoy that. And then also, race day, there'll be 3 streams: race preview, race watch-along, and race review. Actually, no, the race review won't be live. I've just remembered. From now on, the race review will not be live. It will be recorded. But it does mean, being recorded, that I can get it uploaded earlier, which of course is what we want. And then the race watch along best bits will be uploaded at a sooner date than it was this week. The reason it wasn't uploaded this week is or it was uploaded, but it was uploaded quite late. It was uploaded on Wednesday instead of Monday, when I was really trying to get it out. And the reason for that is, by the way, Antonio Giovinazzi has started his first flying lap of the weekend. The reason for that is because I had some issues getting the recording into my editing software, but that, won't happen again. So yeah, that should come out definitely. If there's no incidents or anything like that to analyze after the race, then the race watch along best bits should be out on Monday. So for all that content and the content coming later, as Charles Leclerc locks up and goes a bit wide at turn 1 on the hard compound tyre on his first time lap. But yeah, if you want to, be around for that content and make sure you are notified and all of that, then make sure, again, if you are new, to subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell. And don't forget as well to smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. As we have and Lando Norris there was just complaining on team radio about his brake pedal, as Pierre Gasly goes quickest in the Alpha Tauri, and then Sergio Perez now goes quickest in the Red Bull. I am definitely expecting, by the way, Sergio Perez to be stronger this weekend, because normally Monza, especially on a race day, he is very, very strong. Remember, a couple years ago, he actually held off Max Verstappen in the Racing Point. So, I think definitely you'll see a stronger weekend from him. And then you've got Sainz up in 4th place at the moment. First place now is Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. And Charles Leclerc goes 6th in the Ferrari. Ferrari 5th and 6th at the moment. Ocon in the Alpine goes up to 4th place. Ocon is up to 4th now. And Max Verstappen's first time, I don't know what the actual lap time is, but he is now up to 4th place, is Max Verstappen. As Lando Norris, was complaining about his brake pedal when he went straight on at turn 1 at the first chicane. And then went a tad wide on the exit of the Ascari chicane. And now I'll update the rest of the order. So, yeah, top 5 is Hamilton, Perez, Bottas, Verstappen, Ocon, and then it is Sainz. Now up in 6th place, Gasly 7th, Charles Leclerc 8th, and then Daniel Ricciardo is 9th, and Nicholas Latifi is up in 10th place, and then you've got Giovinazzi in 11th, as Lando Norris now goes up to P10. And Norris into the top 10 now. And then, yeah, Giovinazzi is in 12th as Charles Leclerc goes 2nd in the Ferrari. A lot of drivers, though, are not on the softest compounds. I think a lot of them are on the hard compound tyre at the moment. As Yuki Tsunoda jumps up to... where is Tsunoda on my running order? There you go. Tsunoda just going up there to P11. Lower that to Kubica. Fernando Alonso. Sorry, Fernando Alonso has jumped all the way up to 5th place in the Alpine. So Alonso now up into 5th. And just trying to make sure the rest of the order is correct. And then Mazepin and Schumacher in 16th and 17th. As Russell, who is currently in 20th place, is about to set his first lap time of the first practice session. As Giovinazzi goes up to P10 and Russell comes to the line and goes 13th. So Giovinazzi up to 10th and Russell up to 13th. As Sergio Perez goes quickest on a 123.1. About 4.5 tenths quicker than Lewis Hamilton. As Latifi now goes up to 10th. I'll update that in just a moment. As just a replay there of Sainz, I think getting a bit too wide in between the two Lesmos. As Hamilton has now gone quickest by almost a full second. He's now on a 122.2 is Lewis Hamilton. So it's Hamilton, Perez, Leclerc, and then Ocon is up to 4th. Alonso is 5th, and then you've got Bottas 6th, Verstappen 7th, Gasly is now 8th, then it is Sainz in 9th, and then Nicholas Latifi is in P10, with Ricciardo in 11th, Norris 12th, and then Mick Schumacher in 13th, 14th is Giovinazzi, and then 15th is Mazepin. By the way, the two Aston Martins have not come onto the track yet, so we still await Stroll and Vettel. Talking of Vettel, he announced that he'll be announcing his plans for 2022 very soon. Looks as though he will be staying there. Don't really see who is going to displace him at that team, and he doesn't deserve to be dropped from the team either. As let me just put up there. So Kubica is in 16th place as Valtteri Bottas goes 3rd. You got Russell 17th and then Tsunoda 18th. And then, yeah, Valtteri Bottas now up into 3rd position. Here's a replay of Tsunoda getting very angry and frustrated, I think, there with Nikita Mazepin. And I don't know if he was deliberately trying to get close to his car then, or, you know, just try and gesticulate to him to try and make him aware of his anger. I don't know, but don't think anything will come of that, thankfully, from Yuki's point of view, as Max Verstappen now goes up to 4th place. What will be interesting in regards to Verstappen versus Hamilton this weekend is, you know, Red Bull with the Honda Power Unit, they do have a car that if with running the same wing level, Red Bull should be quicker. Because like everyone pretty much knows at this point, the Honda PU is the stronger one. You can see that classically classic case rather, with AlphaTauri. That's why AlphaTauri at circuits that are more power dominant tend to be stronger. Think of Bahrain or Austria, for examples of that. But the interesting thing for this weekend, when it comes to that Red Bull versus Mercedes fight, as we got a yellow flag in Sector 2, don't know who that is for. Sergio Perez is about to improve his time. It's now green, the track. And like I said, because Red Bull have that advantage when it comes to power, what will be interesting is to see whether Red Bull, because of that, decide to run more wing than Mercedes and run more wing than they would do normally to try, and of course in the second sector when it comes to qualifying, be that little bit stronger. Because really, this circuit, most of it is down to, who has the strongest power unit combined with who has the lowest wing level. But if it is really close between certain teams and drivers, then that middle sector, where there are some corners where you do need some good grip, can, really play an important factor. So it'll be interesting to see whether Red Bull decide to run a tad more wing than Mercedes, just to make sure in the middle sector that they are the stronger of the two. As Esteban Ocon has jumped up to 5th place, which I've just updated. Also, Nicholas Latifi is up to 9th. Yuki Tsunoda is now up in 11th place. Norris 12th, and then Schumacher is up to 13th, with Russell in 14th. And then Daniel Ricciardo 15th, Giovinazzi 16th, and then Kubica is in 17th position, as the two Aston Martins, I think, now are finally on the track and I think are on their first time, about to set their first proper time of the session, as Pierre Gasly jumps up 4th place. Not anymore, as Max Verstappen now goes 3rd in the Red Bull. Max, though, is 2nd off Lewis Hamilton at the moment. As just trying to see if there's any differences. I thought I did see one. Just trying to look. Nope, not at the moment. As the two Aston Martins now set their lap times, and they're pretty good first times. Sebastian Vettel goes all the way up to P4 with the time he has just done. So, good time there for Sebastian. Only 1.3 seconds off the pace. And then Lance Stroll is in 10th place, just ahead of Latifi. And then it is Sainz in 12th. And then Tsunoda is actually 13th. And then 14th, Norris, Schumacher, Russell, and Giovinazzi 17th, Ricciardo 18th, and then Kubica is down in 19th, just ahead of the Haas of Nikita Mazepin. But the running order you see on your screen right now, with 15 minutes in, is what it is currently, with Hamilton top from Perez, Verstappen, Vettel, Bottas, Gasly, Ocon, Alonso, Leclerc, and Lance Stroll. Got to say, Lewis Hamilton's first lap time, or first couple lap times, have been really strong out the block, so I'm not going to read too much into it at the moment, because we do have 45 minutes left of this session. But he's come out of the blocks very quick and very strong. So, looking good for him, and we'll see what Red Bull have later on in this session. They will have to test out the soft compound tyre eventually in this session, even if it's only one set of those tyres, as they're just showing on the broadcast the track limits and where they're being enforced. And of course, if you are to go straight on at one of the chicanes and take the escape road and gain anything, then, or not take to the correct line of the escape road, then you should get a penalty for that. The reason I say should is because Michael Massey is running things, so we don't know that for sure. as to whether anyone would be punished. As Lewis Hamilton has just done a practice pit stop, I believe, and he's now coming back out on circuit on the medium compound tyre. And he's now going to do a practice start at the exit of the pit lane, as Russell, his teammate for next season in the Williams, is still setting some lap times. He's, though, very, very slow compared to Hamilton through the first two sectors, and is slower than his personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2. So this will not be an improvement for Russell. Good thing to see, though, is that we have every car on circuit except for 4. A great action early on for the fans, even though 2 more now come into the pits, and Russell comes to the line and, yeah, does not improve. He's about a second slower on that lap than he was on his personal best. And a good onboard shot there. Not even onboard, really within the visor cam on Russell's car that, of course, we saw so wonderfully on Fernando Alonso's car at Spa, which was a great thing to see. It gave a great indication as to how tricky Spa is, especially when it comes to what you can and can't see around the circuit. As Daniel Ricciardo has improved his time, but is only 13th. McLaren will be hoping for a better weekend this weekend, because Zandvoort, even though I thought they would be weaker at Zandvoort because of the nature of the track, they were a bit too weak there. Only 10th and 13th in qualifying, and then 10th and 11th in the race. Can't afford to have too many of those, really. Can't really afford to have any of those type of weekends again between now and the end of the season if they're going to finish third in the Constructors, because, of course, Ferrari have overtaken them now, and Ferrari are 11.5 points clear of McLaren in the Constructors' Championship in third place. So McLaren at a track this weekend where they should be very strong, because they do tend to have this season probably one of the highest top speeds out of any team, and of course have the Mercedes PU, which does help. They have to. Whilst Ferrari, I think, will be struggling a bit more this weekend than they were at Zandvoort, McLaren have got to bounce back straight away with a good result. And we know they've got the 2 drivers capable. Both Norris and Ricciardo last year at this Grand Prix were pretty good. They didn't get as great results as probably they could have got. I think Norris was 4th and Ricciardo finished in, was it 5th? I think is where Daniel Ricciardo finished, or something like that. He had good pace, Ricciardo, in the Italian Grand Prix last year, but he couldn't use it, and because of the whole red flag thing, I think honestly it cost him a chance of a very good podium result for him last year. But yeah, they should, as a team, have a good weekend. And when it comes to Daniel Ricciardo, historically speaking, has been pretty good at Monza. He's had how many podiums here? He's not had any podiums here, I don't think. Has he? No, I don't think he has. But if you look at his results, they've been quite consistently good. He finished 5th in 2014. He was 7th in the Toro Rosso in 2013. And I think he might finish in the points here in 2012 as well. He's always been in the points at Monza. 2015, he came from the back to finish in 8th. 2016, he was brilliant, finishing 5th. Great overtake he did on Bottas that year. Also great overtaking in 2017, finishing 4th. Retired in 2018. 2019 in the Renault, he finished 4th. That was an amazing result. And then 2020, like I said, I'm pretty sure he finished in 5th place in that race. So Ricciardo should be strong this weekend, and I think definitely should be. In qualifying, all race trim should be between 5th and 8th for sure. No real excuses for him being, 10th or 11th like he was at Zandvoort. There's just, like I said, there's no real justification for that. As, by the way, we are currently on an ad break for Sky F1, so that's why I'm not updating you as to what's going on in the session, because we're just waiting to see what is going to happen when they come back from the ad break. So if you do have any questions or anything like that that you want to ask, then make sure to put them in the live chat right now, and I'll make sure to answer them when I can before the end of the stream. And again, reminder, I will be live later today at 4:30 p.m. UK time for the qualifying watch along for the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. So that's in, 2.5 hours from now? And we have, 40 minutes left of practice 1. So not too far away qualifying. And yeah, Sky should have completed that ad break in about a minute or so from now. And I'll just quickly check to see if there's any on-track news. And nope, can't see anything at the moment. As now they come back from the ad break, and let me just look at the order to see if it's any different, and it is a slight bit different. Daniel Ricciardo, who of course we were talking about a moment ago, is now up to P12, so McLaren 11th and 12th, of course they need to be better than that. Latifi 13th, and then Sainz, Tsunoda, Schumacher, Russell, Giovinazzi, Kubica, and Mazepin. So the order is the same. And just to update you, Hamilton, Perez, Vettel and Bottas have done their best time on the medium. And also there was someone down below 10th place who did their best time on the medium. Everyone else is on the hard compound tyre. So Max Verstappen can go a lot quicker. And he's about to, because he's about to start another flying lap. And he's now on the medium compound tyre. So Max should be going at least half a second quicker with his next lap, as Perez, who has already set his best time on the medium, is on another set of mediums now, and is about, or he's going to try and improve his time, even though he's not done a personal best first sector, as Lance Stroll is up to 7th place in the Aston Martin, only a couple of tenths or 2.5 tenths away from Sebastian Vettel. Stroll, I'm looking at for as a dark horse, really, this weekend. He's always been very strong here, as Perez has done a purple middle sector, and now we'll see if Perez has enough speed at the end of this lap to get P1 from Lewis Hamilton. You'd imagine so, given he's setting his time on a track that's in better condition than it was earlier. And Perez does indeed go P1 by about 1.5 tenths over Lewis Hamilton. So Sergio Perez is up to 1st place. By the way, just to update you guys as to what you're seeing on the screen, with the pictures, those pictures are from last year's Italian Grand Prix, because of course I don't have any pictures to access when it comes to this weekend, because this is already the first session of the weekend. So later for qualifying, trust me, I'll have plenty of pictures from this session for later. As Verstappen does improve his time by about half a second, or just over, about 6 tenths of a second, but he remains in 3rd place. So Max Verstappen just not quite at it yet. 4.5 tenths off his teammate at the moment, who, like I said, Sergio Perez should be pretty strong this weekend, as Sebastian Vettel improves his lap time, but he stays in 4th place. But good for him, gets within a second of Sergio Perez. As we're now looking at Lewis Hamilton, coming up to the 2nd chicane. He's about to be let through by a Red Bull of, I think that was Max Verstappen. As Hamilton now coming to the Lesmos, this looks like a lap where he's pushing, but I don't know if he's improving his time. As now we're looking at Valtteri Bottas on the medium on another lap time. Let's see what Bottas is doing in the sectors, if the TV director will show us that, as he now comes into Parabolica. Not the corner it was. Should have never got rid of the gravel. Right next to the white line of the corner. Because it's really, I mean, it's made the corner quicker, but it's not made it, it's got rid of really what the corner was about, which it was supposed to be a corner where, yeah, it's a quick exit, and it's, you know, a quick exit onto the pit straight and all of that. But it was supposed to be a challenge in terms of, can you keep that acceleration going, keep the traction good, and make sure you don't touch the gravel. And if you do, also, now brake into that corner, it's a lot less, you know, there's not as much penalty if you brake too late into that corner. So that's why, like I said, it used to be a lot more of a test for the drivers to make sure, yes, they braked as late as possible, but not too late, because the gravel trap would suck them in. And of course, make sure they didn't accelerate too hard out of the corner, as Robert Kubica has just jumped up to 10th place, which is quite interesting. I'll hazard a guess and say he is on the soft tyre. I don't know that for sure, though. So Kubica is in 10th, as Max Verstappen, by the way, is on another lap. He's improved his first sector, but not his second. So this looks as though it's going to keep him in 3rd place. I'd be surprised if he goes up to 2nd. As Verstappen now comes through Parabolica and up to the line. And Max Verstappen, yep, stays in 3rd. Doesn't even improve his time. Lost a lot of time in the middle and final sector. Just going to update that Fernando Alonso is actually in 9th place, and then it is Kubica in 10th, and then Charles Leclerc in P11. So at the moment, both Ferraris at their home Grand Prix, their famed home Grand Prix that, of course, they won 2 years ago, with Charles Leclerc. Both Ferraris at the moment outside the top 10. Not a massive surprise, because given the layout of the circuit, you're not really expecting Ferrari to be that quick, but they'll be hoping, of course, for a bit more than 11th and 15th. As here is a replay of Perez through some of the corners on his lap that sees him in P1 halfway through practice 1. And Perez looking, I've got to say, very smooth on that lap, which is a good sign that he can be so smooth on that lap and not be, say, too slow or not aggressive enough. Pace is definitely there. As now we're looking at, I think this is Mazepin, I think this is, in the Haas F1, who is, of course, now in last place. And he's now heading down to the entry of the Ascari chicane, as Charles Leclerc has come out on a set of medium compound tyres. So we should see an improvement from Ferrari, as Leclerc is going to let Mazepin grab a slipstream. And that'll help Mazepin gain a couple extra tenths of a second, probably. Will it see him improve from last place? Let's see. And yes, it does. He goes up to P12. So Mazepin is up to 12th place in the Haas. As Antonio Giovinazzi goes now from 20th all the way up to 4th. And yeah, we are now starting to see from the lower down runners, such as Alfa Romeo and Haas, the soft compound tyre, which, like I said, they have to use it because they need to get a feel for what it's like today, because of course they'll be using plenty of them in qualifying later on. Charles Leclerc now on a flying lap, and the Ferrari looking very good into the Lesmos. And now enters the second DRS straight towards the entry of the Ascari chicane. Can't see any sector time data at the moment, so I don't know if Charles Leclerc is doing that well or not, but it looks good. Looks a lot quicker than he was going earlier, so there should be a pretty good improvement from Charles Leclerc. He's got a bit of traffic ahead, but he'll probably be able to grab a slipstream from the McLaren ahead, which will help him a tad through the pit straight as Pierre Gasly goes third. And now Charles Leclerc on the medium compound tyre goes up to second. So Charles Leclerc is up to second in the Ferrari. Good time, considering Perez and Hamilton are on the medium compound tyre, so good time there for Leclerc. Of course, Hamilton and Perez can go quicker, but like I said, that is still a good time for him. So then, yeah, Perez first, Leclerc second, Hamilton third. And now up to fourth place is, we can just find him, is Pierre Gasly in fourth place. And then Verstappen fifth, Giovinazzi sixth, and then Vettel, Bottas, Stroll, and Ocon completing the top 10, with Alonso in 11th and Kubica 12th. As we're now seeing a demonstration of track limits at turn 11, which of course is the Parabolica. So anyone who goes all four wheels over the white line, pretty simple, all four wheels over, if I can speak English, will have their time deleted. And they're just showing a replay there of Charles Leclerc. And I did think at the time he maybe went a bit too wide, and it looks as though he has from that angle. And here's a replay of Mick Schumacher, who I think has just had a time deleted. We'll see if the timing screen is now updated. Yeah, Mick Schumacher has had his time deleted. Don't know about Charles Leclerc. Yep, Leclerc has had his time deleted as well. So Hamilton up to second. Then Gasly third. Ricciardo now up in fourth place. So McLaren showing some extra speed. Carlos Sainz now up in fourth place. So Gasly third, Sainz fourth, Ricciardo fifth, and then Verstappen in sixth. Giovinazzi in seventh, and then Vettel eighth, Bottas ninth, and Lance Stroll in 10th, with Ocon 11th, and then Alonso 12th, and Kubica 13th, and then Charles Leclerc now back down to 14th place. Kubica, though, has just improved his time up to 9th. I'll update that in just a moment. Just want to update that Mick Schumacher is 18th and Yuki Tsunoda is 19th. But yeah, Kubica now is in 9th place. Kubica has a pretty good record at Monza. If you look at his first F1 career, 2006, what was it, his third ever F1 race. He finished on the podium here. Of course, the famous podium where Michael Schumacher, therefore, after announced his retirement. His first retirement, of course. And then 2008, in that classic wet race, Kubica finished on the podium there. And I think also in 2010, he was in a Renault car that was not very quick at all, was pretty strong as well. So this is a good track for Kubica, so we should see some good speed compared to last weekend from Kubica. As just trying to see if there's any new changes, and there is. Charles Leclerc has improved now on a lap that he hopes is valid, and is now up to third place behind Perez and Hamilton. So Leclerc not as quick on that lap, but understandable because he did another lap on tyres that are already a bit worn, as Ricciardo who is currently sat in 6th place, only 4/10 off the pace, is on an improved lap. So looking good is the Australian. As Alonso jumps up to 11th. And Ricciardo comes to the line and goes P1 in the McLaren. Very good lap there, a 1:22.0. Daniel Ricciardo, that's a very good time from the Australian. As Lance Stroll goes up to 8th place, pushing Robert Kubica down to 11th and out of the top 10. And yet, the top 10 at the moment is Ricciardo, Perez, Hamilton, Leclerc, Gasly, Sainz, Verstappen, Stroll, Giovinazzi, and Vettel. As Yuki Tsunoda goes up to 14th. Esteban Ocon will now come to the line and should improve his time by quite a bit. And he does, and goes 8th. So Esteban Ocon showing some extra speed. And now we look at Lando Norris, who comes to the line and goes only 8th, almost or pretty much 0.6 of a second slower than his teammate Daniel Ricciardo. Would be interesting if Ricciardo could be pace-wise, up there with Norris, because it would then probably show that Ricciardo has finally gotten used to things at McLaren and with how the car is compared to the Renault and all of that stuff. And of course, that is what we want to see. We don't want to see Daniel Ricciardo hovering in positions where he shouldn't be in, given his talent level. As we now enter the final 23 minutes. And we have a lot of cars on track, but seemingly not a lot of action on the TV broadcast that I'm seeing at the moment, as both Red Bulls are in the pits. Same with both Mercedes. They're also both in the pits. And I'm going to guess, as Pierre Gasly now goes 2nd in the AlphaTauri, showing that AlphaTauri are very quick around a track like this. I'm going to guess that for Mercedes and Red Bull, their next runs will probably be on the soft tyre. They'd have to do a quick run on that just to get a feel for it. I don't think they'd feel great going into the session with no laps on that tyre. So Gasly up to 2nd. And Sebastian Vettel has climbed a couple positions and is now up to 10th. So only 9.5 tenths cover the top 12, which is, like I said, coming into this session, it's something that we do see a lot of here, but it is good to see nonetheless, and only half a second separating the top 8. As Giovinazzi, who is currently in 12th place, has improved his first sector. We'll see, though, if he can improve his final sector, because his middle sector hasn't been good enough. And Giovinazzi now comes to the line, and he does improve his time, but he only climbs 1 position and goes 11th. So Giovinazzi 11th as Yuki Tsunoda, and Esteban Ocon on further improved lap times. Tsunoda currently in 16th place, has improved his first 2 sectors, and we'll see what his time is now when he comes to the line. And Tsunoda goes only 15th. Don't understand why Tsunoda is so slow at this track. He has raced here before, and the AlphaTauri car, I think already has been proven by Gasly, is a good car for this track. I don't understand why he is so slow. As Esteban Ocon improves his lap time, but stays in 9th place. Got to say, Ferrari surprising me at the moment, being, where they are. I mean, of course, Red Bull and that, I'm sure, can go quicker, as Lando Norris proves he can go quicker by going up to 3rd, but I thought Ferrari would probably be a bit lower down than 6th and 7th. Yeah, Norris up to 3rd, as we now have Valtteri Bottas on circuit, and the 2 Red Bulls, and here is Sergio Perez about to start a lap on the soft compound tyre. And we're now going to see what the tyre difference is between the soft and the medium. Should be around half a second. This circuit, I mean, you're not going to see a massive difference because there's not enough corners for there to, you know, extend the difference between soft to medium and then medium to hard. So it should be at least 0.3, but most likely half a second gain from medium to soft around a circuit like this. As Perez kicks up a bit of gravel on the exit of the second chicane, so that would have cost him probably 1/10 of a second. And Perez now through the 2 Lesmos onto the second DRS straight. The Red Bull rear wing, I've got to say, is very, very small this weekend, as Valtteri Bottas has done a purple first sector. Perez only 1/10 quicker at the moment than Daniel Ricciardo, which is quite surprising. I thought he'd be 2/10 at least quicker than that so far on this lap. So Perez now comes to the Parabolica as Max Verstappen has done a brilliant first sector, and it's a purple first sector as Valtteri Bottas has done a very, very good middle sector. And now Sergio Perez comes to the line, and Perez only goes 3rd, so that's a poor lap from Perez. Really should have gone a lot quicker as Valtteri Bottas now comes through the Parabolica, gets nowhere near the edge of the track, could use a lot more road there. Comes to the line though and goes half a second quicker than Ricciardo, and Valtteri Bottas is up to 1st place. So let me just update that quickly before Max Verstappen sets his time on the soft compound tyre. So Bottas is up to 1st, and now we see what Max Verstappen can do. Comes to the line, and Max goes P1 by 0.07 of a second. So you got to say, the tyre difference from soft to medium, or medium to soft rather, seems to be a bit more than half a second. A bit more like a second by the looks of it between the soft and medium, because Verstappen was, I'm pretty sure, was a maybe not mid 22, but it was about a second slower than his current time over 21.3, as Lewis Hamilton has now started a fresh lap, but it's not, interestingly, on the soft compound tyre, it's on the medium. Lewis Hamilton wanting to save a compound of tyre. By the way, the track record they've just shown is a 118.8 from Lewis Hamilton from last year, as he does a purple first sector. Hamilton, quite impressive. Now comes through the 2 Lesmos, and Mercedes, as Hamilton losing the rear end a bit on the exit of the second Lesmo. Hard to tell, to be honest, if Mercedes have a smaller or bigger rear wing compared to Red Bull. I'd say Red Bull, by the looks of it, have a smaller rear wing by the smallest of margins, but that's just from what I can see with my eyes. Doesn't confirm that that is the case, but Hamilton has also done a purple middle sector. Stunning lap from Lewis Hamilton here, and now comes to the line, and Lewis Hamilton should go quickest with this lap, and he does by 4.5 of a second. What a lap that is from Hamilton to go P1 by a massive margin and on a step harder compound. That is an amazing lap from Hamilton, and that really now is going to get people talking, especially at the Red Bull team, as to how to combat Mercedes, because that is a very, very strong lap time. Straight into the 1 minute 20s with that lap, as Yuki Tsunoda, by the way, has jumped up to 10th place, pushing the Aston Martins, Alfa Romeos, and others down the order, as currently Russell and the Williams is on the soft compound tyre, and he is on a improved lap at the moment. And we'll see as he gets a bit of a slipstream from the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton and now the Red Bull of Max Verstappen ahead. And he's 1.1 seconds down on Lewis Hamilton so far on this lap. So this is a good time to put him, somewhere decent in the order. As now Russell comes through the parabolica, does not extend the track limits, therefore breaking the rules, and comes to the line, but only goes 15th, but I think could go probably a bit quicker in that final sector. Because that final sector, he lost a lot of time. He really did. I mean, yeah, it was an improved sector, but that's only because he went from the hard compound to the soft. I think he could definitely do better in that final sector there, because he lost a lot of time compared to Hamilton in the exit of a chicane and a corner with 2 straights. He lost 1.2 seconds. Hamilton in that alone, which is quite bad. And now Sky F1 have headed for an ad break. So we wait to see what happens when they come back. And when they come back, it'll be pretty much the final 10 minutes of the session. So with this slight break in the action, guys, like I've said before, if you have any questions or anything like that, then make sure to post them in the live chat, and I'll make sure to read them and answer them, of course, whilst we wait. As just looking at the order now, and I might as well read it out. So your top 10 with 13 minutes to go. Lewis Hamilton, very impressive time in the 1 minute 20s now. I think a 1:20.8 on the medium compound tyre, when Verstappen 4.5 tenths down on the soft compound tyre. So very impressive there from Hamilton. But yeah, Hamilton first, Verstappen second, Bottas third, and then Ricciardo fourth, Gasly fifth, Perez sixth, and then Norris, Leclerc, Sainz, and Tsunoda is the rest of your top 10. And then the rest of the order after that is Ocon 11th, and then Vettel, Giovinazzi, Stroll, Russell, Kubica, Alonso, Mazepin, Latifi, and Schumacher. That is the rest of your order, with 12.5 minutes left in practice 1. And we'll see how the final 10 minutes goes, whether teams decide that they need to get some race runs in. To be honest, I think they'll probably try and do that tomorrow, because I think the most important thing now is to make sure they've got the single lap pace. But it'll be interesting to see if anyone does try that. Try and do a quick 10-15 minute run on a bit heavier fuel and harder tyres to just see how the tyres perform, and also how their car feels on heavier fuel, which of course is a big thing for the drivers to understand, really, the car and that, the race situation. Because every single year, I mean, if you have a good Grand Prix the year before and the car felt great in a race situation, yeah, you'll try and replicate that for the next year, but you need to make sure that, because the cars are different every single year, and their strengths and weaknesses do, every year alter. You need to make sure that your car is in a comfortable way and is in a, has a comfortable style, or a comfortable, what do you call it? It's just, comfortable to drive. Because if you, in a race situation nowadays in Formula One, if you have a car that, in qualifying is a bit all over the place, but because of that is right up the order, you can't maintain that for the race because it won't be able then to look after the tyres or anything. So that's why, in terms of the balance the drivers need to find, they're always trying to find it for the race and not really for qualifying, because if the balance is good for the race, it will most likely be good for qualifying as well. As Alonso is now, after doing a hard tyre stint earlier on, is now out on the medium compound tyre. So let's see if Fernando Alonso can improve. Fernando, in recent history, hasn't had that great a success around Monza. He hasn't... I'm trying to think the last time he finished in the points here. I think was it 2013 where he finished on the podium. As Bottas asking, let me know if I can find a toe anywhere. Of course, the toe, very, very important thing. And it will be important in qualifying later on to find the toe and to scam as much of that off of someone else as you can. But yeah, Alonso, last points finish here, like I said, was his second place finish in 2013. And of course, from 2010 through to 2013, was on the podium every year. Just seeing, and I think my stream has just disconnected. And now I should be back now. Let me just put in the chat that I am still here. Yeah, I should be back now. If you guys can confirm that in the chat, that would be great. For some reason, my stream just quickly disconnected, but has thankfully reconnected. But we'll get back onto the rest of this session. Quick and yep, I am back. That's all good. Just a quick, 5-10 second disconnection, which is obviously not great, but fine. Lance Stroll is up to 4th now, which is great for him. And then you got Gasly now in 5th. And then Sebastian Vettel is now in 6th place. So Aston Martin finishing the session quite strongly. Aston Martin should be good this weekend. Like I said, that coming out of Zandvoort, they have a car that, around a circuit like this, if you look at circuits that are similar in fashion to this one, they've been pretty good, Aston Martin. And they have two drivers who have had plenty of success here. Sebastian Vettel, of course, has won this race twice and has been on the podium plenty of times. And Lance Stroll, I think, has finished in the points at this Grand Prix since he started racing in Formula One. So, yeah, they should be a force to be reckoned with. But yeah, Vettel is in 6th, and before my stream quickly disconnected, I need to update that Fernando Alonso is in 7th place now. 1 full second exactly slower than Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton quickest on a 120.9 as his teammate, not Hamilton's, Alonso's teammate. Esteban Ocon is now on a new lap on the medium compound tyre and is improving so far. He's done a green first sector. As just need to update that Carlos Sainz is now 10th with Charles Leclerc in P11. Ferrari still in the pits at the moment. Ricciardo and Perez, by the way, and Norris on an out lap. As, that is very poor there from the Mercedes, and Ocon, rightfully so, throwing his hand up. A Mercedes there massively blocking him. Also, the car ahead of him did not help. Ocon came to the entry of the Ascari chicane and was blocked massively by a Mercedes and someone else. I think it might have been his teammate, Fernando Alonso, who was the car ahead. Yeah, I think it was. So that's not good for Ocon, because now if he wants to improve, he'll have to do it on a set of tyres that have done a couple extra laps than he would have wanted. And here we go. So yeah, Bottas, of course, should have got out of the way earlier. And really, his team should have told him earlier that Ocon was on his way through. Ocon will remain in 14th place as we're about to enter the final 5 minutes of this session. Just update that. There you go. Kubica is now down in 17th, sorry, because Russell is 16th. Williams quite slow, which is a surprise. I thought they'd be a lot quicker than that. As Ricciardo improves his time up to 4th place now. And Norris goes up to 2nd. It's a great lap there for Lando Norris. And McLaren, now that they're showing their hand on the medium compound tyre, by the way, which does seem to be a much better tyre than the soft. They're looking good, McLaren. Very, very good. Norris is 2nd, and now Daniel Ricciardo is 5th. Both within half a second of Lewis Hamilton at the top of the timesheets. And Antonio Giovinazzi there on the soft tyre improves a couple positions up to 13th, as the two Ferraris are currently now on an outlap, and we are now looking at them as Max Verstappen is now back out on track on an outlap. A lot of cars on track. Only 4 cars in the pits. Those 4 cars being the 2 Mercedes and 2 Haas's. And Carlos Sainz now comes through to start his lap. By the way, if you're still not seeing anything with the stream, just refresh the page and it should be all fine. As Carlos Sainz comes through the first chicane pretty well, as Norris's time has been deleted due to track limits. That is not good. Of course, he'll want to avoid that later on. And also, Daniel Ricciardo's time has been deleted. So both McLarens, despite improving, have had their times deleted there. So Norris is all the way back down now in 12th position, behind the 2 Ferraris. And Ricciardo is back into 8th place. As both Ferraris, by the way, are on the soft tyre. Sainz on this lap so far is half a second slower than Lewis Hamilton. And, oh dear, that is a massive traffic jam ahead. As Carlos Sainz went a bit wide on the exit of the Ascari chicane. Carlos Sainz will actually get a really good slipstream, though, to the line, as long as he doesn't wiggle in that dirty air on the exit of the Parabolica. No, he does get a very good slipstream, does Carlos Sainz, and he jumps up to P7, but I'm sure he could have gone quicker than that without going through the gravel a bit on the exit of the Ascari chicane, as Charles Leclerc goes up to P6. Ferrari definitely could have gone quicker there. Both of their final sectors were not an improvement on their previous best laps. And here's a replay of Sainz through the Ascari. So the first part, he had a bit of understeer, and then had understeer in the second part. So understeer through the Ascari, big problem there for Carlos Sainz, and yet probably would have lost 2 or 3 tenths of a second going through the gravel there. And we now, with 2 minutes to go, are looking at a Williams who is coming back into the pits. I don't know if anyone out there's on a lap. Can't see any times being set at the moment. But yeah, everyone on track now, except for Hamilton, Latifi, Mazepin and Schumacher. Charles Leclerc has his time deleted, so Sebastian Vettel is back up to 6th. And Leclerc will be back down to P11 as Robert Kubica jumps up ahead of his ex-teammate, Russell. So Kubica is in 16th place, as we're now looking at an AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly. Will he come into the pits, or will he go in this final minute for a flying lap? By the looks of it, he is going for a flying lap. He is currently in 5th place, about 8 tenths off the pace. And we'll see now if Gasly, with the help of a bit of a tow in front of him from a McLaren, don't know what McLaren it is, but we'll see if he can improve this final lap in practice 1. And he has improved his first sector, which is good. Hard to tell, though, with first sector, really how the lap is shaping up, because it is just 2 long straights and a chicane. As all the rear end was very close there to stepping out big time and spinning Gasly into the gravel through the first, or the exit, the first Lesmo. But he got away with it as he gets a slipstream from a couple cars ahead. And he's not improved his middle sector, so I think that moment through Lesmo 1 might have cost him an improved time here. And now, though, he will get a great slipstream from the cars ahead as the Alfa Romeo and McLaren of Norris lets him through. And Gasly now through the final corner of the Parabolica, but I think he went over the white line there. And Gasly comes to the line, doesn't even improve his time anyways, doesn't matter, but I'm pretty sure he went over the track limits. But Gasly finishes up in 5th place, a great result for him so far, and you've got to look out for him in qualifying, because, I mean, if he was so great around Zandvoort, where AlphaTauri weren't quite as strong, I feel, as a team there as they will be this weekend, then who knows what Pierre could do this weekend. And, of course, he won the Italian Grand Prix last year. So he is a force to be reckoned with, as we're now looking at Lewis Hamilton, closely following a car ahead, but I'm pretty sure Lewis Hamilton, he's on an outlap, so no, he's not going to do a lap, obviously, because the session is over. Checkered flag has come out. He will cross the line anyway, as just waiting to see if Russell down in 17th, if he's going to improve his lap. No, he will not. So, guys, that is it for practice 1. And let me just quickly read out the final finishing order of the session. So, Lewis Hamilton top by 4.5 tenths on a hard compound of tyre. That is very interesting indeed, going into qualifying in a couple hours' time. Max Verstappen second. I think Red Bull can definitely improve, but it'll be interesting to see by how much they improve compared to what Mercedes are doing. Valtteri Bottas third, Stroll fourth, Gasly fifth, Vettel sixth, and then Sainz in P7, Alonso 8th, Ricciardo 9th, and Perez in 10th. Then the rest of the order is Leclerc 11th, Norris 12th, Giovinazzi 13th, and then Tsunoda, Ocon, Kubica, Russell, Mazepin, Latifi, and Mick Schumacher at the very back. Again, guys, don't forget to come and join me in 2 hours from now at 4:30 p.m. UK time for the qualifying watch-along for the Italian Grand Prix. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell for that stream coming out later as well. Thank you guys for coming along to this stream. Smash the like button, share this video and channel everywhere you can. It really does help the channel in terms of growth and all of that. And also, don't forget to join my Discord server, link below in the description. That's the best place for notifications for my videos and streams. And also, it is a very active server with pretty much now 500 people in there. So if you want to join that, then make sure to do so. Again, link down below. But guys, until the qualifying watch along in 2 hours from now, it has been me, Chazza HD. Goodbye.